what is going on? It is a little after 12 noon on Friday. Facebook didn't want to cooperate today, so we're just streaming over on good old TampaSchoolOfRealEstate.com, where you could always find us. So if you're tuning in today, make sure you're subscribed to our email updates on our website, so that way you get notifications. You'll get a direct link right to our website and whatever's going on with Facebook today. We're also on YouTube. You can find us there, wherever it is that you're watching us from. Make sure you get that bell icon, so whenever it is that we have new content to help you grow your real estate business, you'll get notifications. What we're talking about today is a subject that a lot of new agents, but also experienced agents, wonder about: finding the right real estate broker. And this is something that would change depending on whether you are a new agent or an experienced agent, or maybe not necessarily who the right broker is for you, but what you need from a broker absolutely is going to change as you grow, evolve, and your real estate career improves, and now all of a sudden you have a different set of needs to get you to that next level from where you started. Or, maybe you are a new agent, you want to make sure you're in a situation, in an environment that is suited for new agents to help them get going and get off the ground. So what we're going to be talking about today are some tips to finding a real estate broker. And these are going to be things that are applicable whether you're brand new to real estate or you've been practicing real estate for several years, because there may be times, again, where you're revisiting where your business is at, where you want to take your real estate business, and trying to make sure that you're in the right vehicle for your success. So that's what we're covering today. My name is John Chrismo. Super excited to bring today's show to you. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Christopher. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every single Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. If you're not yet subscribed, wherever you're watching, hit that bell icon. If you're on our website, drop in your email so that we get notifications. And wherever it is you're watching it, hit that thumbs up button as well, so we know to do more topics like today. If you want more subjects on choosing a real estate broker, about making sure you're in the right environment for success. One of the best things about real estate is how there are so many options. There are so many different ways that real estate can be practiced. There's so many different focuses. There's so much variety that exists out there in real estate. So how do you find your home? How do you find, and when I say your home, I don't mean like how do you find a home for yourself? And if you're not interested in a real estate career, if you thought this was maybe about how do you choose a broker to help sell your house, that's not quite what today's video is about. We're Tampa School of Real Estate. We're an institution that helps people achieve their dream real estate career and build their real estate empire. But to get to that point, there's a lot of information that's required. And depending on where it is that you're coming from, what background it is that you have, that is going to ultimately change what it is that you need from a real estate broker. And that's why, again, your needs from a real estate broker are probably going to change and evolve over time as well. And we always get the question, for people considering a career in real estate, a very popular question we get is, if I join with a broker, am I committed to them for a certain time period, for a certain contract, or anything like that? Is there like non-compete things or any craziness like that? And the answer is pretty much always no. Those are really hard to enforce, even in industries that do have something like that. But being that you're an independent contractor and there's a lot of different opportunities out there, it's very common to see real estate agents changing from one brokerage to another. Now, that's not necessarily something you want to aim to do when you're new to real estate, or really at any point. Now, at a certain point, there may be time for a change where it may be necessary, but you want to minimize that as much as possible, because let's talk about the reasons why it's important to find the right real estate broker and ultimately to find a place that could be a lifelong home for you, not just a temporary quick fix. And the number one thing is the branding that you're associating with your business. So even though you have your own personal brand, really any brokerage it is that you're at, even the most highly branded brokerages that are out there, you still have your own personal brand, because real estate very much is a people-to-people type of business, and they want a real estate professional they can trust, not just an organization, not just a company they could trust. I mean, honestly, how many companies are there out there that people trust? And there's not a whole lot. Now, there might be people at a certain company that people really trust and know and love and find value in, and they could find value in a company as well. But again, that relationship, which this is such a relationship-based business, is very much on the personal level. Now, that being said, even though they're going to be sold on you to some degree, now, if you're doing your job right, they're going to be sold on you to a high degree. So where it doesn't matter where it is that you hang your real estate license, your customers are your customers. Now, there is one catch to this. So when we were talking earlier about any ways it is that you could transfer to go to a new brokerage at any point in time, where let's say that you're unhappy with where you're at right now and you want to join a new real estate brokerage, can you do that? And the answer pretty much always is yes. Like I said, there's not really contracts or things like that say that you have to stay at this brokerage for a certain period of time. Those can exist when you get into more complicated compensation arrangements, but unless you're like some top producing real estate agent, you typically don't see anything like that. If you're brand new to real estate, there's usually not any contingencies that you stay. Now, not to say that there wouldn't be. That's just not very common, because most people wouldn't be comfortable in a situation where they're committed. Now, if you're an experienced agent and you're maybe getting some sort of perks or signing bonuses or stuff like that because you're some sort of top producer and this brokerage really wants to recruit you, well, if they're making some sort of upfront investment in you, maybe that's where you could see some sort of something to hold on to you for at least some period of time. But those are definitely very uncommon, any sort of thing like that. And as a new agent, you're probably not going to encounter like anything like that, but it would always be a good thing to ask, because there are some other details that go along with if you want to change brokers. So one of the things that's important to remember is, as a real estate sales associate, you're allowed to perform real estate activities on behalf of your broker. That's how you're doing this stuff. You're doing it on behalf of your real estate broker. So what that means is any contracts, they're not technically your contracts. They're your brokerage's contracts. And so when I was saying earlier that your clients are your clients, that's different than contracts. So your clients can know, love, and trust you. But despite of their knowing and loving and trusting of you, if they have a contract with ABC Realty and you leave to go to another brokerage, that contract is still with ABC Realty. It doesn't follow you to other brokerages. Those contracts are property of the brokerage. So that's one of the reasons why you do want to try to find the right brokerage from the beginning. Is the whole timing thing. So contracts are property of the broker. It's because, again, all the services you're doing on behalf of a real estate broker. That's why you have to register your license with a real estate broker, is because the Florida Real Estate Commission does not trust you to operate independently. So these are probably the top two things I would say as to why you want to minimize changing brokerages, because if you're just jumping around from brand to brand, you're not going to have consistent colors typically. You're not going to have consistent logos associated with your name. You're not going to have consistent names associated with your name. So, and that lack of consistency, again, sometimes this is necessary. Sometimes it is necessary where the pros outweigh the cons. But the con side of this is the less consistency you have, the more difficult it'll be for people to remember you. So if you want people to easily remember you, the more consistency. That's when we talk about branding and marketing. Branding is a lot more than just your marketing. It has to deal with more so the experience that you provide. But the marketing side of it, like the color schemes and logos and things like that, you want to keep that consistent, because that consistent image, that consistent color scheme, that consistent theme, the consistent names, that will brand yourself much deeper than if you keep changing all that stuff around. And then again, the big thing for number two is if you've got any, let's say, listings, you got some houses listed for sale, unless those clients want to cancel their contract with ABC Realty and sign a new contract at your new brokerage, again, those contracts are property of the brokerage. So you could sometimes time this right, but what I've seen a lot is agents feeling like they're trapped because they're waiting for deals to close or to line things up. Now, there are some ways you could transition out of your brokerage, especially if the work has pretty much been done on the transaction, even if they're not closed. But that's where it gets more of a case-by-case basis, and ideally, we want to try to avoid that. If we find the right brokerage from the beginning, you don't have to worry about transitioning to a new broker. But that being said, so how do we prepare ourselves? What is important? What do you need from a real estate broker? And that ultimately really is the question of what do you need? What do you need? Not what do I need? I've had my real estate license for several years. I have multiple broker licenses, and I'm not here today to talk about any of my brokerages. I'm here to tell you, you need to do an inventory on yourself of what it is that you need based on your experiences, based on your expertise, based on your level of professionalism, based on your understanding of real estate, based on your understanding of marketing, based on your understanding of sales, based on your understanding of business and running a business. Maybe you're never ran a business before. Maybe you've never been self-employed. Maybe you've never managed other people. And that might not be something you're doing to begin with, but that's something you could do down the road, building a team. But is that even something that you want? Maybe you don't even want to do real estate full time. Maybe you just want to practice real estate on the side because maybe you love what you do. We have a lot of people who are first responders, especially we have a lot of firefighters, police officers, sheriffs, paramedics, nurses, a lot of people that do very valuable things for society, and they like what it is that they do, but they just don't like the money that comes along with it. Because those aren't necessarily careers that are designed to make you rich. Those are careers designed to serve. Very noble cause, but why can't you just do both? There's a lot of people who do. But now if you're coming from that aspect, maybe you're not very entrepreneurial. Maybe you've never ran a business before. Can you be successful in real estate? And the answer is yes, because you could figure out how to be entrepreneurial. Just because you've never done this before, your past does not predict your future. So just because you've never done real estate before, just because you've never bought real estate before, just because you've never sold real estate before, just because you've never invested in real estate, just because you have never ran a business before, just because you've never done sales before, just because you've never done marketing before, just because you've never done all these things, it doesn't mean that you can't, regardless of what point it is in your life. But what you do have to do, what's extremely important, is that you take an inventory on what it is that you need. And now, if you're new to real estate, one of the things I highly recommend to you is to go to postflorida.com as soon as you're licensed and complete post-licensing. Now, this isn't just, the real estate school's trying to get me to take this post-licensing course right away. Look, I'll be honest with you. Yes, we would prefer that you take this course because we charge money for this course. We are a business. We are, that's how we make money, is we help other people unlock their potential through real estate. So let's address the elephant in the room, yes. But honestly, I don't care where you get it done. I do hope you do it with Tampa School of Real Estate. That's why we want to help you guys out to help further our goals of helping people achieve their dream real estate careers. But that whole aspect of achieving a dream real estate career is very different than just getting a real estate license. And that's where the 45-hour post-licensing course comes in a lot more so. And to share your personal story, which you might have heard before if you've watched some of our videos, if you've ever heard me mention post-licensing, and why personally for me it's such a soapbox that I get up on, is when I got started in real estate, I didn't know what I was doing. I had ran businesses before. I've actually even dabbled in real estate investing before. I had done sales before. I had a degree in marketing. So what do I need? What did I need? Going back to this question here, what was it that was important for me? Well, part of it was realizing I didn't know everything, and I really didn't know that much about real estate or how real estate was practiced. And even though I had done sales before, there are some things that are universal among sales, but then there are some things that are going to be specific about real estate sales that I had no idea about. And I didn't take this course right away. You could take this course as soon as you're licensed, but it isn't due until your renewal deadline. So look, whether you do it right away or right before your renewal deadline, it's the same to us. It's not like it's costing more to do it before your renewal deadline. We don't charge a premium because your license is about to expire. It's the same price. Do it as soon as you get your real estate license, because this course is not a course about laws and rules like I thought it was going to be. When I got licensed, I studied my butt off, and I'm not a studier, but I took a practice exam, did not do very well on it. So before I took my real exam, I studied like crazy because I was so freaked out about, I guess maybe I have to figure out how to study. I have to figure out how to pass this exam. So I put in a lot of long hours doing that. I was able to pass my exams on the first try, but then I was like, nope, don't want to do any of that. I'll do that when I absolutely have to, which in my mind was before the renewal deadline. I was like, let me procrastinate on this. Let me set this aside. I don't need to do this. And no one really told me that this is something that you should do that's going to benefit your real estate business, which is why I'm here today to tell you that. This is something that you should do as soon as you have your real estate license, because it helps you specifically in this purpose today. Now, you might already have a real estate broker it is that you've been looking at, and maybe after some of the things it is that we talk about today, that helps you clarify that this is the right choice for you. But if you're unsure about who is the right real estate brokerage for you, what organization is going to be the best fit for you, chances are you might be a little iffy on what it is that you're doing or what it is that you need from a real estate broker. If you're not sure what it is that you need, you shouldn't just join a real estate brokerage because it looks cool or sounds cool. You should make sure it's a good fit for your future. Post-licensing, one of the first things you do, any of our course curriculums that you take for post-licensing for sales associates, one of the first modules is on business planning. And the business planning aspect will help you dial in what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So that way you could go to these brokers and say, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to do here. How does your model help me accomplish these goals here? Or matter of fact, maybe they've just got such a great presentation of their information in some way, shape, or form that you, based on your knowledge of your business model and what it is that they have to offer, maybe there's a few loose ends you need to tie up to make sure this is the right fit. But when you're clear on what it is that you need, what it is you're trying to accomplish, it makes the choice a lot more obvious of who is going to be the right real estate brokerage for you, of what it is that's offered. But again, this course is designed not just to do business planning, but to teach a lot of stuff about the actual real world, real side of practicing real estate. Whatever brokerage you join, any training that they offer, which that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to tell you to look for today, is going to be training. That's super important as a new real estate agent. But a lot of times the training gets very, very much up here very quickly. Much more complicated than maybe what you're prepared for, because you know things like a contract has to be in writing and signed, and that a deed has to be voluntarily delivered and accepted by the grantee, and all these little tidbits that you're going to be remembering for your exam. Whereas post-licensing is not all that exam nonsense, as I'm sure a lot of you want to call it. I don't want to call it nonsense because it's important laws and rules that are going to help keep you from getting in trouble with your real estate license as long as you follow them, but it's not going to help you make money. It's going to help you keep you from losing your real estate license and understanding some of the possibilities, but post-licensing is more about how do you actually use this real estate license to make money. And when you understand that further, when you understand different sources of clients, of where you could get clients from, where you could get leads from, how do you structure your business to grow? How do you present offers? How do you do all these little things? That'll help you better understand what role the brokerage plays in this process. Whereas if you're unaware of all of that information about what it is that you're going to be more so doing, if you don't really have too much of an idea still, that's where, again, this course is going to be really beneficial at helping you better understand what your role is as a real estate professional, so you could better understand what you need from a real estate broker to accomplish that. So highly recommend you do post-licensing sooner rather than later. There were a lot of mistakes that I made that if I took post-licensing, I wouldn't have made those mistakes, or maybe I wouldn't have made them as badly as I did. But look, I'm still here. I'm still standing. I still made it through my first year in real estate, but I would have made it through a lot better had I done post-licensing. So that's something I would say regardless. And again, maybe you've got a real estate broker already lined up that you know is the right fit for you. That's fine. Still get your post-licensing done, because that's going to help amplify everything it is that brokerage is teaching you. So let's go right into number one, the obvious of what you need, especially if you're a new agent. Now, I know I said earlier that today's episode is for people who are brand new to real estate, as well as people who might have been doing this for years. And training is something that you need throughout your real estate career. So I like to make the analogy of going to the gym. That's also something we call training. A lot of people train at the gym, but the difference is we're training our physical muscles instead of our mental muscles. I mean, to a certain degree, it is training your mental muscles as well at the gym. You don't believe me? Go try to stay on a treadmill for an extended period of time. Watch how much that tests your mental toughness. Yes, it'll test other parts of your body as well, but getting back to this idea of training, how ridiculous does it sound to maybe somebody that, and let's say this person does want to, become more physically fit. Let's say somebody comes to a personal trainer and says, hey, look, I want to become more physically fit. And the trainer says, okay, well, I want to get you on a regimen where you're working out at the gym 5 days a week. And the client, the potential client, says to this personal trainer, oh no, I don't need to go train. I trained already. I've already been to the gym before. I went to the gym once before. I've already been to the gym. I've already graduated the gym. And that's I think where this idea comes from, is this whole idea of graduation. We make such a big deal when people graduate schools, and yeah, we do take a picture here because it is a milestone to accomplish, but the falsehood, the incorrect falsehood that gets in a lot of people's heads is that you're done learning when you graduate from school. Training isn't something you did. Training is something that you do. It's not something that you did, it's something that you do. Just like it would sound ridiculous if you tell the personal trainer that you're trying to go get in better shape, and you go to this personal trainer and this personal trainer says you need to work out 5 days a week, and you say, oh no, I've already done that. I already went to the gym years ago. Okay, you haven't gone since? You haven't done any training since? You haven't done anything to improve your physical body as well as your mental in years? And look, I'm not here to push, fitness on you, but it is something that will help you become a more productive human being when you are a more mobile, flexible, agile, capable person. But let's talk about back to real estate training. What's definitely important for choosing a real estate broker. But the main thing I wanted to point out is it's not something that you did, it's something that you do, which means even if you're an experienced agent, you probably know this already. Because if you're an experienced agent and you're watching this, it's because you know there's more to learn. Otherwise, I'm not that entertaining. There's plenty more entertaining things out there on the internet. But if you want to learn about building a successful real estate career while I try to entertain you, well, maybe you're in the right place. But point being is there's always more to learn. There's always more to train. There's always room to grow. Real estate literally has an unlimited potential. Unlimited. But the thing is, it's not about just taking your basic 101 again and again and again and again. I mean, you go to the gym and you pick up the lightest weight there. That lightest weight is only going to do so much, even if you do a crazy amount of repetitions. But the reality is, with those simple basic trainings, you're not even going to do them because they're so simple and because they're so basic. However, there are some of those simple and basic things that when you drill those back in, and when you make them more of a habit, when you make them more of a priority, things happen. Even though it's just such simple, basic things. And so training is universally important. But now the question ultimately is, and really the ideal would be a brokerage that has almost infinite training, to where, because again, there's always room to grow. So if your brokerage doesn't offer training to infinitely grow your real estate business, that's where you'll have to seek out maybe the help of a real estate coach, or going on YouTube to watch some videos, or taking some course, or getting some realtor designation or something like that to continue expanding your knowledge. But that could be a great thing that your brokerage also offers as well, but it's so much more essential getting started from the beginning is that you have a good training program that's designed for your stage. Number one, designed for where you're at. But number two, design for where you want to go. And what I mean by where you're at and where you want to go. Where are you at in these different categories in, say, sales, in marketing, in just general business acumen, in investing, and of course, in real estate? How would you rank yourself 1 to 10 for each of these categories? And don't just give yourself 10s across the board. If you're giving yourself 10s across the board, you got a bigger problem, and that's getting in touch with who you really are, because you're not a 10 across the board, especially if you're brand new to real estate. I wish somebody told me that when I was brand new to real estate. I was like, yeah, I've done sales, I've done marketing, I've ran businesses, I've dabbled in investing, I've been around real estate my whole life. What do I need people to help me for? What do I need to take post licensing? Had I known it was something that could benefit me, I probably still wouldn't have taken it, just because, you know, I thought I was. And maybe I wasn't a 10, but it was like 8, 9. I had a big head. And I shouldn't have, because I was brand new. I should have been more receptive, but also part of it, I think, was I chose a real estate brokerage that was not a environment designed for new agent success. It was not designed for where it was that I was at. Now, there was actually some training that I did take a lot away from, but more on just general personal development side. They actually had a really good program. It's where I originally learned about the power of affirmations and positive thinking, and maybe not where I originally learned about it, but where I learned a lot of techniques and strategies to become a more positive person, to be a more optimistic person, to the whole manifestation, the secret, all that type of stuff years ago, back when I first got my real estate license. That's what my brokerage taught me, which it was great information, but it was what I see at a lot of larger brokerages that are international brands that don't have any localized training. And look, it doesn't even need to be that localized to be just localized to Florida. I mean, if they're doing significant business in Florida, they should at least have training that is pertinent to practicing real estate in the Florida area. However, that's me speaking about a brokerage that should be designed for new agent success. It's wrong of me to assume that every real estate brokerage is designed to make brand new agents successful, because they're not. There's a lot of brokerages that are out there where there's a lot of this that is left up to you, where the broker is there almost for the legal capacity only. Those brokerages exist, and there's quite a few of them, and that is not typically the place for a new agent. You know, if we move into the second thing, I know we've talked a lot about training, but there are some other things I want to cover on here. Let's address this one as well. Now, for a lot of you, I'm sure this is maybe the first thing that you're thinking about rather than the second thing that you're thinking about, but the compensation. The compensation. Now, my recommendation is, if you're new, to be okay with a moderate split. Why do I recommend, if you're new, to be okay with a moderate split? So there's also, what do I mean by split? So if you're brand new to real estate, you get paid commission for helping people sell homes, but that commission has to be paid through your brokerage, and your brokerage will have some sort of compensation structure to where the brokerage makes some money in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of split brokerages out there, but then there's also fee brokerages. And more so flat fee brokerages. And flat fee brokerages are going to be better money, but when you don't need guidance. It's probably the most succinct way I could put it. So, being brand new to real estate, and the brokerage I was at, just because it's a split brokerage, that doesn't mean it's good for new agents, because the brokerage that I was at was a split brokerage, but it felt more like this over here. That, I mean, it really wasn't better money, but there wasn't really a whole lot of guidance. Again, the training, the things I was coached and that I learned on was positive thinking, affirmations, all that type of stuff, which is great for, you know, it's a good foundation, but I needed more than that. I was afraid to show my first home because I was like, what if they want to make an offer on it? What if they actually want to buy it? What am I going to do then? The one thing I should have been the most excited about, I was freaked out. I was like, man, what if they want to buy this? What am I going to do? And so, yes, the training is important, and especially for understanding where it is that you're at and where it is that you want to go, because if you're weak in any of these categories down here, you want to find a brokerage that has training in those areas, because if they don't, you need to seek out that information elsewhere. And that's another thing to add onto your plate, which is going to add another thing that's going to potentially derail the launch of your real estate career. So getting this all in one from a real estate brokerage, or as much as you can, makes this more of a package deal. And when you have more of a package deal from your brokerage, it's more of a turnkey program. That's less that you have to figure out on your end. Going back over here, these flat fee or low cost brokers. So let me actually put another slide up here, because I want you to think of this more like a spectrum. And let me try to draw a straighter line here. So we have, let's say, the low cost versus high cost. Because you can see all different commission splits, you can see all different fee structures. Now, ultimately, the way this should shake out, what would normally be the case, everything being the same here, now, it's your job to do your due diligence to find out what it is that you need and find a brokerage it is that matches up. Because there's a lot of different options, from ultimately brokers are going to be low cost, but also very likely to be low value. Whereas the high cost typically is going to mean higher value. That your brokerage, there should be something justifying the higher cost to you. If there's a higher cost, this is what a lot of people, especially from a sales perspective, very quickly lose sight of, and it hurts a lot of deals, is yes, price is important, but what's significantly more important than price almost always is the value that someone's getting in exchange for that price. Because if you're not providing value that helps this customer, that benefits this customer, why would they pay any price for that? Why would they pay any price when you're not providing value? Now, let's say you are providing value. For example, let's say you're helping somebody get 10% more than what they're able to get on their own. If I were to give you $10, would you take $10 from me with the condition that you have to pay me back $6? Once we get everything all figured out. I'm just going to give you the $10 up front. I'm going to give you the $10 up front, and the $6, you pay it back to me at this later date. That's how real estate works. We agree to do this work. We agree to help market their property and gain exposure for working with the seller. And let's say we get them 10% more than if they were going to try to do this on your own. And that's actually a statistic from the Association of Realtors. A realtor will typically get 10 to 30% more than what a for-sale owner gets on their own. So let's say it's only 10%, that we're getting them 10% more. Why wouldn't you pay 6% to get 10%? Because you're getting an extra $4. That's the math there. That's why I wanted to break that down with the dollars. If I give you 10 and all you got to do is just give me back 6, you get to keep $4. So I could basically say, hey, do you want $4? Here it is. Take it. That's what it breaks down to. Now, the more detailed, complex part that we could get lost in here is I'm going to give you 10, and then at closing, that's where I'm getting my 6% commission, or whatever the commission rate is that we agree to here. But the whole reason I'm getting paid that commission is I agreed to provide this value to you, my client. Now, you choosing a real estate broker, you want to ultimately find a broker that has this right balance of value and cost. Where that is for you, I don't know. This is just an idea. This isn't meant to be anything it is that you're doing. Maybe you do actually write this down on a piece of paper, especially if you're interviewing multiple brokers, and you could kind of plot this out to see, if you're really going to be overly analytical about this. And like I said, overly analytical, because you don't need to think about that much. There is a certain degree of this, which is kind of emotion. Which, that could be bad, because emotions aren't always correct. Emotions aren't always right. Emotions can get a little crazy sometimes. But, sometimes there's that gut feeling that turns out to be right. And so sometimes you just know this is going to be the right brokerage for you. But wouldn't you like to really know? Wouldn't you like to know for sure? And that's what this extra little bit of planning does. Maybe interviewing a second broker just as a backup option to see, let me just see what this one has to say here, just to make sure I am making the right decision. When I started out in real estate, I did not interview multiple brokers. That's someone close to me who was actually the one that was pushing me to get my real estate license, and obviously I chose the real estate brokerage that he was associated with because he recommended it to me. And I met with the real estate broker. I really didn't know what to ask. And that's what I'm going to put up here for tip number 3. So number 1 is make sure they've got training. Number 2 is going to be the compensation. And again, finding that balance, but not thinking just in terms of price, but thinking in terms of the value it is that you're gaining. And that value that you need based around the inventory of you, of where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are. You might not need as much help with your strengths, but you absolutely need help with your weaknesses. And if you're new to real estate, the one universal thing to most people that are new to real estate is that they're new to real estate and they don't know much about the real estate side of things or how to build a real estate career. So that's what, again, one of the things I can say that's universally important for pretty much anyone who's new to real estate is you want a brokerage that has a program designed to help new agents succeed. That's going to involve probably a lot of training, some coaching, some mentorship, a whole lot of things in there. So let's talk about number 3. And again, recapping. Number 1, training. Most important thing, based around what it is that you need help with. Number 2, the compensation, but where you're finding that balance between what it is that you're paying and the value it is that you're getting. And again, you're focusing that around where it is that you're at and where it is you're coming from, which if you're a new agent, again, realizing that you're new to real estate, you might know some stuff about real estate. Maybe you've worked in a related field, but if you've never had a real estate license and brokered real estate deals before, you're new to that. And you need someone to help guide you through how you make a business out of this here. Again, I would say taking post-licensing is something that's also going to help you better understand this here. But the number 3 thing I would say on this list here as tips for finding a real estate broker is one that has, and this is especially important, this is essential, I would say, when you're new to real estate. As you're more experienced, this is something that could still help you grow and develop, but it's not as essential to just making it in real estate because you can kind of cruise control for some time without having to make too many adjustments to your business. But I would still recommend having someone that's there guiding you, helping you get to that next level, that next step to build something to your wildest dreams, to whatever it is that would be your dream goals in real estate. You can accomplish that. But very important that you have guidance, and that's going to be in the form of, it goes by a lot of different names: coaching, mentorship, being an apprentice. Now, a lot of people confuse this with shadowing. And shadowing is ultimately probably one of the worst ways to learn real estate. Or really a lot of things. I would say any sort of sales. And the reason why is with shadowing, you learn things in the field. That's what shadowing is. Kind of like, like you're almost following somebody around or just being their shadow. That's why they call it shadowing. And I've seen this before because I worked in sales before I did real estate, and I've seen it before in sales. And the problem is that as you're watching this person do whatever it is that they do, you don't understand why it is that they're doing it. And that person might have some things it is that they might need to improve themselves. I've seen a lot of people pick up bad habits just by simply learning those bad habits from the person that's supposed to be teaching them how to sell. And you see that with a lot of places that don't have a formalized sales training program. If you're new to sales, if you've never done sales before, that's okay. You actually have, I guarantee it. If you've ever dated somebody, maybe even married someone, that's a big sale right there. If you've got someone to commit to you for life, there's one commodity here that is the most finite in its time. And if you've got somebody to commit to you all of their remaining time, or at least that's the present agreement, that's a huge sale. Or if you've ever had to think of when you were a kid and you had to ask for something, maybe beg for something. It's a crude version of sales. So you've sold things before, but you've maybe never been formally trained in it. And that's why a lot of people don't think they need training in sales. Oh, I could sell stuff. I could sell ice to an Eskimo. I love it when people say that. Oh, really? Really, you could. Let's see. I'd like to see you do that. Let's put your money where your mouth is. Let's go find some Eskimos and let's go sell them some ice. People like to say that because it sounds good, and a lot of times when people have these like knee-jerk reactions, it's because there's something underneath that maybe needs to be addressed. And that's why, again, it's so important that you go back. This is probably, again, the most important thing that you could do for choosing a real estate broker is taking this inventory of who you are, where you're at, where you want to go. And maybe you're not just putting down 0 to 10, but maybe you're listing out accomplishments or things that you've done in sales, in marketing, in business, in investing, in real estate. And just simply listing out the things it is that you've done, you're going to see where it is that you're the most experienced, where it is that you have accomplishments here. And where you don't have experience and where you don't have accomplishments, that's where you're going to need help. In the form of training, number one, and the role training provides. So training is typically more of a classroom or some sort of learning type of environment. Whereas the guidance and mentorship, the coaching, this is more not necessarily to learn, but for application. For application of what it is that you learn to help you make these ideas real. And this is one of the misconceptions that a lot of people go into starting their real estate careers. They're looking for one person to be the person that's going to help make them a superstar in real estate. Somebody that's good, right? Because you don't want somebody that's teaching you stuff that doesn't know what they're doing. You obviously want somebody who's very successful to teach you real estate, right? You want a top producer. Well, here's the thing. That top producer doesn't want you most of the time. Unless maybe they have some business model that compensates them for helping new agents get started. Because, again, addressing the elephant in the room that is compensation, that is money, that is probably one of the top reasons, if not the number one reason why people have a real estate license and are in real estate, is you can make a lot of money. And there's some agents that are really good at making a lot of money, and wouldn't that be great if they could teach you? But why would you be so lucky that they would take time out of their busy schedule, where they're getting paid very highly in that busy schedule, and then help you for free or very low cost? And if you're brand new, that's what it would have to be, free or very low cost, unless you're just like loaded from whatever it is that you've done before and you've got money to blow. But even then, I would probably advise against that, just because that person, just because maybe they're successful in real estate, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can help you grow. There's a difference from being able to do and being able to help others do. That's a higher level activity there. And that is definitely something to consider. Now, somebody who would call themselves a coach, a mentor, somebody that would have apprentices, somebody that has a real estate team maybe, although the thing with teams is sometimes if you're joining a quote-unquote team, it's setting you up to be on a team, and so you don't really necessarily learn the whole business, you're maybe just learning part of it. So you could function well on the team, but might not be able to operate on your own independently because you might not have all the other bases covered because the rest of your team handles that. So the guidance is, again, it's there to help with the application, to help make this stuff real. But don't expect this to be something that comes at no cost. Now, going back to choosing a real estate broker, there are brokers out there, many brokers out there, not all of them, but quite a few that have some sort of coaching, mentorship, apprenticeship type of program where they have experienced agents who know what they're doing, who are compensated out of the brokerage share of the commission, or maybe there is an additional commission split or different compensation levels or something like that. Long story short, there's some way that this person should be getting paid on a per transaction basis. And that's why, going back to the compensation over here, is with the compensation, this is why the split, where your commission is split on a percentage basis, where a certain percentage goes to you and a certain percentage goes to the brokerage. And if there is some sort of coach or a mentor or something like that involved, there's maybe some sort of fee or percentage going to them. So that way they all have a vested interest in your success, in you building a successful real estate business. Because if they just get paid some sort of flat fee, regardless of if you sell anything, why do they care if you sell anything? And if they don't care if you sell anything, well, why are they going to help you sell anything? And maybe they have some things to help, but are they really having everything it is that they possibly can to give you a platform to build a successful real estate business? And with the lower cost options, again, going back to this chart over here, there's typically going to be less value. So again, something to consider. And going back to, well, where is it that you're spending your money? What is it that you need from a broker? It's how do you find a broker that hits on these areas it is that you need, and again, fits into the compensation of the budgeting. I would make, again, the compensation secondary to some of these other things, and that's why I put this number 2. Is because it should be secondary, because it doesn't matter what percentage you get if you don't make any money. If you don't ever sell anything, it doesn't matter what your commission split is. So that's why, again, you need to prioritize the value. It doesn't necessarily need to be off the charts all the way at this end over here, but somewhere in here you want to have a good amount of value it is that your brokerage is providing as a new agent. Why these exist? You might wonder, well, why are there low value brokerages out there if it's not a good fit? And it's not necessarily that it's not a good fit. It's not a good fit for new agents. There's a lot of experienced agents that operate well in a low-value brokerage because they're bringing to the table all the value it is that the brokerage doesn't provide. So there's tons of real estate coaches out there who could teach you almost anything about real estate. There's some coach out there somewhere who could teach you stuff about real estate that you need to know. So you could pay for that out of pocket yourself rather than it being provided by your brokerage. There's tons of real estate website platforms and contact management systems out there. Those are monthly subscription-based systems. They can get kind of expensive, which is why there's a huge benefit from getting something like that from your broker. What about leads? Now, I think pretty much any brokerage, I don't know of any brokerages out there where I would expect to get all of my leads 100% from my broker. And I'm sure those are out there, but that's not something that I would recommend, because those leads do cost money to produce. And the more layers you add in that process, the higher the cost of those leads can be. And ultimately, there's tons of ways you could generate leads directly yourself, and a lot of ways you could do that to produce really high value leads as well. But as a new agent, especially looking for a turnkey, out of the box, ready to go package, you want at least some leads. Now, leads that you're getting from any source of people that are not people that you already know are going to be somewhat of a cold lead, where you'll have to build that relationship. One of the things a good coach, mentor, or whoever we're calling them, maybe it's just trained in the brokerage, it's in a class, but every new agent should be really leaning into, and not just new agents, everybody in real estate should be leaning into their sphere of influence, the people it is that they know. There are people out there that you know, people that you went to school with, that you've worked with, people that might have even been friends, but they don't have to really even be a friend to be in your sphere of influence. They just have to know you. They don't even have to know you're in real estate. We're going to get to that. We're going to reintroduce ourselves to them. but they have to be a person who might possibly buy or sell real estate, which is basically anybody who is over the age of 18, and maybe even sometimes below the age of 18, they could buy or sell real estate. But otherwise, we're really just looking for some sort of adult who could maybe buy real estate. It doesn't even have to be today. Maybe your credit is terrible. Maybe you got tons of maxed out credit cards and haven't paid a bunch of bills. That doesn't mean that that doesn't get fixed, and maybe next year you could buy real estate. And if that somehow happens, I want to be your person. But I know if that is where we want to be, I have to make sure I stay top of mind with you all the way up until next year. And it's never been easier to do that. Just what you could do with social media right now is ridiculous. And for realtors, there's so many realtors out there that literally just generate leads off of their social media. And that's so much more valuable than leads that your brokerage provides. So I would look for a brokerage. If I were a new agent, I would be looking for a brokerage that did provide leads. I think the brokerage that I joined, there was maybe 2 or 3 leads I would get a month from the brokerage, which it wasn't nearly enough, but it was something that I had that I could, do something with. And that's what I would look for in office leads. Some leads, but I wouldn't necessarily let that dictate, unless you were just completely against doing anything to, maybe if you're scoring low here on marketing information, that might be where it would provide you more of a benefit to have a broker that does provide more leads. Or maybe they teach you marketing. That's what I would really look for. If I didn't know anything about marketing, and even if I did, and what I should have did, because I had a degree in marketing, what I should have did is set that info aside, say, you know what, I do know a lot about marketing, but you know what, there's maybe some things to learn about real estate marketing. And there actually were things that I learned about real estate marketing. I did learn some marketing things from my brokerage, but the reason why this also wasn't a great fit for me starting out was I learned a lot about marketing, but I still didn't really know the sales for real estate. I was knowing ways to market my business, but the thing is, all the marketing cost money to send out letters, to send out ads, and things like that. And again, we're looking for kind of that turnkey system. So ultimately, you do want to be able to do some marketing, because the sky is the limit with you being able to market your real estate business. But until you get to that point of where you're ready, that's not something I would start out with until you got some of these other cylinders, especially the real estate knowledge, especially the sales knowledge, maybe even a little bit of business acumen. That's going to be important before you start actively marketing and spending money to gain exposure for your business, because you don't want to amplify and scale what doesn't work yet. You want to try to get things working and then amplify and scale it. And that's what your marketing and advertising does, is helps you amplify and scale. So as a new agent, again, a brokerage providing leads is going to be good, but those are not necessarily going to be your best potentials for new clients. It's going to be your sphere of influence. And again, finding a brokerage that has training that's going to help you showcase yourself in that light, from that marketing perspective, there's going to be hopefully somebody there to help guide you and actually apply this information so you can execute. Because if you can't execute on this information, why are you wasting your time taking that information in? Now, one of the things I've mentioned already on here, what number are we up to? I think we're up to 4, maybe 5, yeah, 4, is technology. And there's a lot of different technology you might need, but I want to go down some of the essentials. And yes, these are all things that you could get. And if you join a lower value brokerage, this is all stuff you usually have to go get on your own, which can be done, but that's usually going to be less cost effective, especially as a new agent. And again, it's a lot of balls to juggle, a lot of decisions to make that hopefully will be the right decisions, but you're not really sure because everything is so new and moving so quickly. So, and then you've got the salespeople who are nice people that, sound like they could help us, but at the same time, they're being paid commission. So is there some sort of conflict of interest with the information they're giving us? And is their platform really the best? So a lot of, again, things that could really cloud this if you're having to do this on your own. And if you are seeking out your own technology, because that was the brokerage that I was joined at with, they didn't provide me a website. They did at some point. Eventually, they did add a website that I got through the brokerage, but it wasn't the best quality website. It really didn't generate me a whole lot of leads. And the thing that would have been better about that system, and they did have it to a certain degree, but as if they really kind of went all in on the training of how to use this system, since it was a system that everyone in the brokerage had access to. But the problem was, since everybody in the brokerage basically already had their own websites through some other third-party website company, there wasn't a whole lot of people using those websites, and so the brokerage really didn't do training on how to make those websites work the best. And now, why are websites so important? I'll just say a website, because you're starting out with one, but ultimately you could build a whole online network of pages funneling business to you. That could be really neat. But getting to that point, it starts out with just having a website, just having some central hub where people could go online to find you. Look at the world. Look at how you're watching this here. You're watching it on a video, probably through social media, or maybe on our website. On our website. Could you imagine if we didn't have this website? Facebook was down today. Facebook wouldn't let us post today. Facebook wouldn't let us stream to it today. If we didn't have a website that people were already going to post this video, then what would be the point of this? So you want to have your central hub, a place that people could go that is 100% you, but at the same time, you don't want to waste your time building this. You don't want to waste your time customizing this. You don't want to waste your time with your website, because the reality is, with a new website, it's going to be essential and very important for the traffic that you do have going on there, any people that do make it on there. But the thing is, that traffic is going to be very low. When you first start a website, it's like opening up a storefront out in the middle of nowhere where there's no roads really that go to your website. Any link that you make out there, any post you make out there, any time you tell people about your website, that's helping build a road to your website to get people on it. Now you might be saying, well, why do I need a website so much? Well, think of what people do on Zillow. And when I say a website, I mean a property search website. And this is really something that I would try to get through your brokerage, especially when you're starting out, because these can be very expensive. You could get like little standard non-dynamic fixed static websites that don't change, where it maybe has like a bio about you, maybe some videos, and then maybe you do update it every now and then with some information, like maybe blog posts, but it wouldn't be realistic for you to be able to constantly update properties and listings and things like that on this website. It would be a big waste of time. That's what I would call that. So you want a website that does that automatically, that automatically pulls in all of the properties from the multiple listing service and puts them on your website, so that way your clients can go visit this website and peruse all the properties available, so they don't have to go on Zillow, so they don't have to go on Realtor.com, so they don't have to go on any of these websites that are going to recommend other real estate professionals to them. We don't want that, because that's going to make it more difficult for them to be sold on us. And maybe not, because you look at some of the competition out there in real estate, sometimes it might even be good that they talk to some of these other agents. However, no, ultimately that is not something that we want, because that keeps us out of the loop when they're dealing with someone else. And if they're dealing with someone else at the same time they're dealing with us, there's things that they're not telling us, and it impacts our ability to do our job effectively for them. So we want to be a source, a conduit for as much information as possible, which better include the properties that are available, because that's what they're most concerned with. They don't want to go on your website and read your bio or do whatever to learn more about you. They really don't care about that. And if they are looking at that stuff, it's a very minimal amount of time, especially compared to how long they're going to spend online looking at properties. And why these websites typically are expensive is they usually have some sort of contact management system attached. What's also known as a CRM. So this contact management system keeps track of all of your potential leads. And ideally, it should also help you follow up with them through emails, through text messages. You could even run ads that pull people back onto your website. But if you don't have a website system that does this, and you're not going to pay hundreds of dollars a month to get something like that, you better make sure your brokerage provides something like this, and provide something that's actually effective and actually works. Does it load quickly? Does it work well on mobile phones? Does it have an advanced tracking system that's going to help you warm up leads, where it'll have automations and campaigns and things like that, where it does all these things for you, a nice little central hub to keep all your notes on people? Or is it just a front-end website that really doesn't tell you much? Because that might be a little bit cheaper, but it's far less value, which makes it more difficult for you to know who's going to need your services, who is going to most need your help, and be ready, be the most ready. Because if we have, let's say, 1,000 people in our database, 1,000 people that we know, that we've talked to, 1,000 potential clients, but none of them have been ready, how are we going to know which of those 1,000 people that we want to call or text or email? Now, we could just bombard them all, but if we're just bombarding all of these people every single day because we're just waiting for one of them to be ready, they're probably going to unsubscribe. They're probably not going to want to talk to you anymore. They're probably going to want to get out of communication with you just because you're annoying them. So this website gives you data, just like how Facebook always wants to track everything it is that you're doing online, and now they just want to track everything in like their whole new universe thing. But that data is so valuable because it helps them understand what advertisements to make to them. So that way, people will buy advertisements because they're getting sales. Just like how you want to give people information about properties, and the people that are looking at that information, that are taking you up on that offer of information, those are the people that are going to be most interested in doing business with you and potentially doing real estate. But if you don't have the technology to help you do that, that makes that manual effort of just calling people or texting people, say, hey, are you ready to buy yet? Are you ready to buy yet? Are you ready to buy yet? Especially when there's so many professionals out there that have a website. If you're starting in real estate, I used to say a website wasn't important, but with the world we live in now, especially after all of the shutdowns and lockdowns and working from home and all that stuff that happened there, a website is more important than ever. But it's something that if it's not provided by your brokerage, it's going to be almost an impossible cost for a website that works effectively, that does all of these things. So if it's not something provided by your brokerage, I would still recommend holding off on it, just because there are a significant cost of this. But it is something that I would get implemented into your business as soon as you can afford it. So get some deals done. You can work your sphere of influence. And that's the great part about these contact management systems, is you can get everybody that you know loaded into this, so that way they get on your website. Not all of them are going to want to look at your website, but the ones that do, and the ones that continue to do, maybe we should reach out to them. Maybe we should say, hey, I see you keep looking at properties on my website here. Have you seen anything it is that you like? How long have you lived where you are currently? I know you're probably not thinking of moving, but if you were, where would you be moving to? Oh, you actually are thinking about moving. Well, how soon did you need to move? Really, in 6 months? Well, I'm glad we're having this conversation now. Have you seen anything you liked on the website? Are there any of the houses that you would like to see, to schedule appointments for? What did you like about these houses? What did you not like? And despite the things it is you don't like, would you still make an offer on the property? Oh, no, you wouldn't. Well, why are we looking at it then? But having that conversation there, we're able to have that now, rather than just going out to properties, looking at them. All right, let's hope they like it here. Whereas instead, hey, I saw this house at 123 Main Street. Oh, well, here, let me pull that up. Here we go. I got the page right on my website. Let me send it to you right now. How does that look? Take a look at the pictures. Oh, look, they've got a virtual tour. Oh, look, there's even a property tour video. Oh, no, that one's not a good fit. Yeah. You know, now actually me looking at this one here, I don't think that one would be right for you. And what was it specifically? Okay, the kitchen. So if this had a bigger kitchen, this one would be the property? Okay, great. Fantastic. And if we can't find anything with a bigger kitchen, I mean, if that property doesn't exist in this price point, would you be okay otherwise getting this property? And now all of a sudden you can see how we're having this conversation here to move them closer to a sale. But this becomes a lot harder to do if we don't have the data. We have to first go out there and get the data and have this information that we can present. And just having a website, especially where it automatically imports all this wonderful, beautiful, detailed data from the MLS system. When you have that, that's going to be really essential. Now, one additional thing it is I want to leave you with today about choosing a brokerage is your level of activity. So I think we're up to number 5 here for tips. So my 5th and final tip for you today is your level of activity and making sure that that is a good match. And the first question I have for you is full service or Referral only. Now you might be saying, well, why would I do a full service brokerage versus a referral only brokerage? The big thing that would maybe stop you from doing a full service brokerage is if you're not going to have a high level activity where you're not planning on maybe selling any homes, maybe you're just starting part-time, you want to kind of see what happens. Well, if you join a full service broker, typically they're going to be a member of the realtors. Now, in order to sell real estate in Florida, you actually don't have to be a member of the Association of Realtors. But you don't have a membership of the Association of Realtors, you don't get all the tools that the Association of Realtors provides you. And now what do I mean by these tools? Well, the MLS is probably the biggest one. And there actually is a way in Florida and our region of the United States where you could actually join a brokerage who's not a member of the Association of Realtors and get MLS access, but you still don't get access to all the tools. Some of the other ones in addition to the MLS are going to be like the electronic super lockbox keys. So those little electronic lockboxes you see on real estate listings, I've got an app on my phone where I could go and open up these electronic lock boxes so I could get the key to show the property. I don't need to meet somebody to go pick up a key. I don't have to schedule an appointment with the listing agent to be a certain time to where they could meet me there. You typically do have to still make appointments for showings, but actually if it's a vacant property, a lot of times they'll just say go and show. No appointment necessary. Use electronic lockbox. But if you're not a member of the Association of Realtors, you can't use the electronic lockbox. You do have to make an appointment for somebody with a key or somebody with an electronic lockbox key to be able to open that electronic lockbox for you. And the biggest thing I would say that probably gets taken most for granted is the actual contracts. So these contracts that the realtors provide, these fill-in-the-blank contracts. So that's a big misconception I think a lot of people have when we're talking about starting a real estate career, or a lot of people get overwhelmed by the idea of contracts and that, oh, I've got to prepare contracts. How am I going to write a contract? Well, when you say write a contract, we're not talking about whipping out a blank piece of paper and saying, all right, well, Sally Jones would like to buy this house, and with this house, we're going to write in all this. No, that's not what you do. We fill in blanks. We fill in blanks in a fill-in-the-blank contract. Purchase price, blah, blah, blah. Financing, check. FHA, check. Cash, check. Deposit, $10,000. Interest rate, financing contingency, 3%. Inspection period, blank days, 15. That's what we're doing. Yes, there can be some more complicated, more advanced contingencies, but your normal everyday things like financing, like inspections, appraisals, that's all in these fill-in-the-blank realtor contracts, and we literally have to fill in the blanks. And it makes our job really easy in terms of contracts. So another option you have, if you're not necessarily a full-service brokerage, because full service, again, is going to either cost with the Association of Realtors, that's typically about $1,000 a year or so, depending, and maybe a little bit more expensive, maybe a little less on the renewal, maybe a little more expensive on the application with an application fee, though. But that could be an expense that if you're not practicing real estate, that doesn't make sense. So the other option I would recommend is a referral only. Because typically with a referral only, you're not required to become a member of the Association of Realtors. So not having that requirement to join this membership that is going to cost you money every year that you want to maintain membership with them, if you're not practicing real estate, this would make more sense. But the problem is you cannot broker deals, only refer. But you could still earn a referral fee. So you do need to have an active, valid, current real estate license to earn a referral fee. And part of being active is that you're a member of a brokerage, that your license is registered with a real estate brokerage. You cannot earn referral fees if you do not have a license active with a real estate brokerage in Florida. So there are referral-only brokerages that exist where you could get your real estate license the same way you'd get a license. And if you ever did want to make the jump into full service, you could pretty much do that at full time. Especially if you're at a referral brokerage, they're not going to do anything to try to hold you at that referral brokerage. They know that this is a temporary kind of waiting area for a lot of people who are maybe not ready yet to take the full jump into potentially doing real estate full time. Maybe they want to start off, maybe just see if they could earn some referral fees. A referral fee might be 25-30% of the gross commission. So if the agent actually doing the work is making a $10,000 commission, that's the gross commission. Well, if you got a 25% agreement on that $10,000 commission, well, that's $2,500 going to you. And yes, there's probably some sort of fee or split or something like that with that referral brokerage, because all these brokerages are in business to make money themselves. So there's going to be something there for them to provide their services they do for you, provide the value it is they provide, and have their little profit. So that way you could have your profit as well. But again, the big catch with this is that you cannot broker deals. So you cannot do actual real estate sales. You could just refer the business out and earn a referral fee. That's the referral brokerage. And again, there's your full service brokerages where you're actually able to buy and sell real estate. And you don't necessarily need to be a member of the Association of Realtors unless that brokerage is a member of the Association of Realtors. And most brokers that are full service brokerages typically are memberships of the Association of Realtors because of the tools that are provided, the MLS, the lockbox system. There's a lot of training the Association of Realtors provided. There's a code of ethics. There's the contracts, these fill-in-the-blank contracts that we use. There's all kinds of value that the Association of Realtors ultimately provides, but it's only valuable if you're selling real estate. Or there's actually a lot of ways to get value for it, but if you're not getting any of the value, why would you pay for an association like that? So again, maybe that referral option is a better fit for you, and you could still make a bunch of money just referring out business. And this is really good if you are a well-connected person and you do know a lot of people that are into real estate, buying real estate, selling real estate, whatever it may be. You could earn referral fees every time that you refer that out to where somebody is going to buy or sell with another agent. And you're not limited just to Florida. You have to get your license here in Florida, if you're in Florida, wherever it is that you're practicing and doing this. But you could refer people to New York, Pennsylvania, California, Texas, Alaska, Arkansas, wherever it is that they want to buy real estate. You find a qualified agent in that area who could help them. You negotiate a referral fee, and you make the referral of your client to this other agent, this other real estate brokerage. So hopefully this helps you better understand how to choose the right real estate broker, because that's really what we've been talking about today, is how do you find the right broker for you, not just today, but also long term. We talked about how training is going to be essential at any stage, but especially when you're getting started in real estate. We talked about the compensation, about the money that is being transacted, and how yes, money is going to be important, but keep in mind the value it is that you're getting in exchange for the money, because that's where you really want to find that balance. We talked about coaching, mentorship, and guidance. We talked about the technology and how that technology can get extremely expensive if it's not provided for you already by the brokerage. But one other thing I will say on the technology as well is if it's anything made proprietary by that brokerage technology, proprietary made by that brokerage usually is not the best technology, just because they're not a tech company, they're a real estate company. And there's tons of tech companies that specialize in making real estate agent websites, and there's a lot of brokerages out there that outsource their real estate websites to these companies. And that, what I would say, would be the smart thing to do, because as a real estate professional, we're paid a lot higher to sell real estate than build a website about selling real estate. So that's, again, why it's a huge benefit when your brokerage provides something like that, or really any of the tech, because that, again, does get expensive very quickly. But then the last thing is the level of activity. What level of activity will you have? And maybe this is going to be where you're part-time versus full-time. Is that going to work with this brokerage? Maybe the trainings that they have are only during this certain time, and during that certain time you're unavailable. Well, maybe you can't attend the trainings at that time, because maybe you do have, crazy hours where the only time you'd be available would be like, midnight. And I don't know if there's any brokerages out there that have midnight trainings. But let's say that were the case. Maybe you've got some crazy schedule and that's the only time you have available to train. Well, you better make sure you have a brokerage that has some sort of on-demand training program to where you could do trainings not just live or in live stream or in person or anything like that, but where you could do them on your schedule. That could be a nice benefit to a lot of people, but it's essential if you're not available to take the actual classes in person or during the time that they're offered or anything like that. So that's where you want to, again, balance in your level of activity to make sure that this brokerage is going to be a good fit for your level of activity. Because there's brokerages that are designed to be a great fit for, a full-time agent that's, in the office every day and so on and so forth. But you might not want to go into an office every day. That might be the reason why you want to get into real estate, because you don't want to be tied to a desk. You'd like to be able to work from your couch or the beach or the pool or wherever it is that you could get your computer out or tablet with an internet connection. Because the reality is that is basically true about real estate. You could work pretty much anywhere, and most of the stuff you can do on the internet. So if you got an internet connection, that's usually all it is that you need. So that level of activity can vary. You could be doing real estate very part-time or very full-time. And obviously what it is you get out of it is going to be very different depending on the level of activity it is that you're putting in. But there are some brokerages that if you're low activity, it's going to be way too high of a cost to justify the level of activity that you're doing. And that's why, going back to this whole concept of, maybe referral brokerage is going to be a better option if you have a low level of activity. But if you plan on having a higher level of activity, a full service, a brokerage that you could go all in on, especially if you're going to be there, all the time, full time, and you're not necessarily even being in the office, but you're dedicating to where, you're joining all the trainings, whether that's online or in person, or you're using the tools to the fullest. You're dedicating time to learning those systems and better using them, and all of that to where that's going to be where you want a brokerage that has a lot to offer. Whereas if you're getting started out and you're not putting too much time into it, if you get a brokerage that has a lot to offer, again, that higher value is typically going to entail a higher cost. So it's really a lot of balancing, but then how do you find that balance? How do you ultimately find what is going to be the right fit and the right balance of all this here? And if you're new to real estate, this is what I would recommend here. Taking the post-licensing course, so that way you could effectively build your business plan. Now, if you've already taken post-licensing, if you already had your real estate license for a while and you're still stuck with the same question, it's going to come back to the business plan. To what is it that you're trying to achieve? What is it that you're trying to do in real estate? How is it that you want to get there? How soon do you want to get there? And then when you start asking the right questions, the answers are going to become more and more obvious. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in with us today. That's about all the time we have for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. If you've liked today's episode and you want to see more about choosing a real estate broker, starting your real estate career, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. So whenever it is that we have new content, you'll get notified and you'll be able to use that information to, again, further enhance your real estate career. That's about all the time we have for today. Hit that bell icon and you'll get notifications whenever it is that we have new content, or better yet, if you're on our website, put in your email and you'll get email notifications every time it is that we have new information to help you grow your real estate business. If you have more specific questions, you can always call us up. The phone number here is 813-333-2676. You can also text us at that phone number, 813-333-2676, or you can find more information on our website at tampaschool.com. It's about all the time, again, we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
So you just got your real estate license. How can you jumpstart your real estate business? the number one thing you should do before you do anything else is post-licensing. Now look, this is already a requirement, so you're gonna have to do it anyways, but here's why you wanna do it early. The sooner you do post-licensing, the sooner you're gonna learn the real-world concepts in post-licensing that will help you create a business plan, that'll help you plan for your success in real estate. Post-licensing is all about real-world topics that are usable, that'll help you grow your real estate business. And at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have the best post-licensing courses around. Find out more about how post-licensing can help you jumpstart your real estate career. Go to postflorida.com.